guys, welcome to I Have Questions with Maggie. Of course, you know my name. My name is Maggie. And today we're going to be talking about a very sensitive and interesting topic. And because I want this topic to resonate with somebody, I had to go find somebody that, in Nigeria we like to say, I've been there, done that. We know what we're talking about. If you used to drag me, Maggie, when you're 28, come and talk to us. You don't know anything about this thing. I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to go and bring my co-host for today. He's somebody that is well knowledgeable, he's vast, he's an interesting person. And today I'm just going to lean back and ask the questions. And, trust me, we have something to learn from him. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Nkasi. I love to call him Nkasi Obi. Don't, you can't steal that name from me.
Hey guys, this is I've got questions. I'm Cassie and I've got answers. So yeah.
You've got answers. I love it. I love the way you just said you've got answers because honestly, it's been quite an interesting week, and it's so funny that the topic that I've always
hmm
picked on, that always just picked my interest,
Yeah.
are the things that just keeps happening every day. We come online, we see these things keep happening. We're talking about marriage issues, relationship issues. It's not ending. It's not, and we've gotten to a point where people feel if you know you've never been there, you do not have an opinion. Just shut up.
Well, can't say I blame them. I can't say I blame them. I think in a lot
Mm,
of ways, marriage is one of those things. I always tell people, I said, marriage, losing a loved one, and probably the complexities of divorce is something that if you've never experienced, it's kind of hard to imagine. You can have a few opinions from the outside, but when you reach there, you understand the things that you couldn't possibly see from the outside. Yeah,
absolutely.
so that's what I
Absolutely.
think.
So the past couple of weeks,
hmm
actually, I mean, our legend has always, every once in a while, he will make it to the news, his marital issues and all that. And I not really thought there's anything strange about it because people have issues in their marriage.
Of course.
My parents, not explicit, I grew up seeing my parents being very dramatic.
Mm.
My parents' marriage, in short, I feel to an extent. The reason I'm still single is is part of that because I look at them, I look at marriages and I'm scared. I'm like, yo,
This is what people are dealing with.
Jesus Christ, do you get? So the first person that came to my mind, seeing the whole scandal and controversy concerning Baba and his marriage, and most of the opinion, I see that a lot of people are being triggered. Why exactly do you feel people are being triggered by his choices and his decision to actually move on from his marriage?
Okay, I mean, I'm very careful to speak on people's marriages, generally speaking, as a rule
Absolutely.
of thumb, because one, the situations are never like no two situations are the
At
same,
the same
and it's
extent.
only people inside that usually understand the nuances to their marriage.
Mhm.
But in terms of, like you said, why people might be triggered about it, I think that there are a lot of people who have chosen to live vicariously through these celebrities. People who have decided that, oh, you know what, this relationship, you know how people always get excited about Big Brother relationship, like, oh, we're supporting
Yes.
this ship, what's
Yeah,
in this, what's
shipping
in that.
this,
So people have,
mentor us.
yeah, found a way to just live vicariously through these guys. So I think
Mm.
that there's that, and also there's the fact that it does reflect on. I'm about to shake small tables, but I used to say this. I said my people lie a lot.
Yes.
So when you
Yes. Yes. I just like I want to scream it. They don't tell us the reality of what goes on in this thing.
yeah, but understandably so, because I mean, everybody.
Why?
Two reasons. Because I think on the first level, it's very private, and second, people have to defend their own front. The only thing I kick against is the fact that you can't be going through such challenges and be disturbing the next person. Oh, when are you going to marry? When are you going to marry? Then when you get married and you start having problems,
I want
then
to
you go and
scream right
complain to
now,
them, and they're
guys.
like, "Oh, this is what I'm doing. Ah, your own is even small. What do you
Yeah.
mean my own is small?" So you were dealing
Small.
with this thing and you're disturbing me to get
Yes.
married.
It's
You
like
know,
you're
so
looking for a partner in pain.
misery loves company.
Misery.
So I think
Why?
that there's that version of things, and of course, not to say that that every single marriage out there is terrible, isn't working. There are people who are getting it right, but more and more, I think that the realities and the stats is showing that there are more people who are just getting it wrong. There are a lot of us who are misunderstanding. So to your question, I think one, it reflects people's inadequacies and things that hurt them and triggers them.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's also the point where a lot of us don't agree
Mm,
with certain things that he's chosen to do, especially since it's come up to the media.
mm.
And like he said, he's the one who brought it out in the open.
Ow.
So people are going to speak about it in the open. For everybody who chose not to bring their conversations to the public has sat out of it. So
Sort of
I think that people have opinions to say, hey, bro, I don't think you should have approached it this way. And I
this
think
one.
there's some of the
But
things
at
he's
the end
done
of
that
the
I don't
day,
agree with. Yeah.
people still say you don't get to tell people how to react or how to behave or how to handle their pain because you don't know what they've been taking all along. So to an extent, I feel like that is even what he is dealing with.
Mm.
But that leads me to the second opinion I saw, which had a lot of people supporting it. It said, but and I'm going to try to be as impartial as possible.
Okay.
It was actually, I'm not gonna lie, it was actually women that were championing it. There were a lot of posts about it, on Facebook, on Instagram, saying, I'm gonna read it out. They said, men don't marry the women they love. They're actually in love with. That is why it's easy for them to walk away. Look at Annie giving all these years. And Nigerian men were using her as an example for us, only for this man to say her love is suffocating him. Her love is too much, and she doesn't compare mentally anymore.
Did he say
So,
those words?
yeah.
Okay.
No, there was an interview he granted. Some of these videos he
Yeah.
does where he said that he needs a woman to stimulate him intellectually. I saw the video and I was like, is Baba trying to do PhD? Because I mean, it took me all these years to know that. But that's not the part of the thing that
Yeah.
the part of the opinion that caught my attention is where the people were, hammering on the fact that men, quote
Don't
and
marry.
unquote, do not actually marry the women they're in love with. That is why it's easy for them to walk away. Now, I know this is a bit sensitive because you've been there,
Of course.
you've been married, and things happen the way they happen. So tell me from your perspective, from your experience,
Okay,
from a man's
so
standpoint.
I wanna just first say for the record that these opinions are generalizing
Absolutely.
and will not always represent everybody. So I'm also going to be responding in a general sense, first and foremost, to say
Yes.
that I would argue that in today's society there are more women who actually don't marry the people that they love. Women typically marry the person that's ready.
Ooh.
So unfortunately, and I think a lot of it too has to do with the fact that the man has to prepare himself, there's money, blah 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 blah. That is the general sense. Then you find the girl you like and propose to her. More often, we've seen those positions where the girl kind of likes this guy, but he's hustling and he's not looking like he's going to, bring
Make it
much exactly
anytime
anytime
soon.
soon. And then this guy can take care of her. She feels like the clock is running out. We see those dynamics. So I think that it's not a question of that. I think even if I'm speaking very like pragmatically, away from any sense of sentiment, I think the challenge that the average man just fails to be satisfied with one woman. That's the real problem. Not because he didn't marry a woman he loved, but that was still not enough for him.
So
So,
basically,
so
love
for
has
that,
nothing to do. Love has got little to do with it.
yeah. So for that specific claim, I think there are more women that are guilty of that. I think what most men are guilty of is something completely different, and that's what I just wanted to clarify there.
I'm taking a minute to process it.
You
Because
think about it, every man will tell you that, like, it's not like I don't love my wife. I just need a little side. They say it all the time.
they say
Do
it
you
all the
get so?
time, and I wonder. So if you love somebody so much, why do you put them through that much pain?
Oh, my
Why can
dear.
you sit and see them hurt like that? And this one is from both genders.
Yeah.
Right. I've seen women do this to men, and I've seen men do this to women. Although, I mean, when it comes to social statistics, they don't compare. And I think they don't compare because Nigerian women, let me not speak generally, Nigerian women from where I'm sitting, I feel we love to play victim a lot, that we like to take accountability
Yeah.
or responsibility for the things we do. A typical Nigerian woman will be in a situation where she's also doing something that is adding to that issue. Instead of her to fix it, she will be crying foul. She'll be crying, he's killing me, he's doing this, he's doing
Yeah.
that. Okay, fine, he's killing you. Get up and walk away. No, contribute, do something that will get this person to start acting correct. No, they just like
And
the
I think that's
attention.
also because if we look at it from like a worst case scenario point of view, like I said, generally speaking, if the average man is busy cheating, what's the worst thing a man does to a woman? He cheats, he's not around, he's always outside, blah blah blah
I
blah.
feel the worst thing is actually physical abuse.
Okay, that's maybe we can throw that in there
Yes, to
somewhere, right?
me, physical
So, but what's the
abuse.
worst thing the man would say the woman will do to him? She will make him raise another man's kids.
Yes.
What always happens is that the one the woman is doing is harder to spot than the one the man is doing.
Oh, women are slick.
So it took a lot of time and technology to get to a point where an access where we can now say, okay, go and do DNA. Everybody has now cried and running. And so for a long time, I think it was just more obvious what the guy was doing wrong, what the average guy was doing wrong, than what the woman was doing. And that's the problem. But to your question that preceded that, which is why is that the case? How will you say you love a person and still do that? I think first, our understanding of what love is, empathy, and at the risk of taking this very deep, it's how we are socialized. There's a fundamental problem with how we're raised and trained societally to explore relationships, dating, and the dynamics of love,
Yeah.
and then marriage, even the role of marriage. So everybody's purpose going into it is very different.
Very
So the games we play around it, is very weird
why so much games though?
because we woke up and made the rules. Like I'm telling you, it's not even a thing that you say, oh, naturally, it's a lie.
No, because I think I totally agree. Because recently something happened to me. Well, we're going to read the second opinion concerning
Yeah.
this, but just a brief something happened recently that got me really really confused. I've not been dating for a minute, and I don't entertain people like that. So, but then I started talking to somebody, and then each time I go online, it's like the algorithm is also set up against you, and all you're seeing is don't do this, don't do that. If you're talking to a guy, don't do that one. It's like every 98% of the content you see online is setting you up for a battlefield. And what I mean by battlefield is relationship, marriage. So if a woman is preparing her arsenal for, if the man does this, I'll do that, or I'll do like this for the man to do this, and the guy is also somewhere there, like the generation
Yeah.
now, they are telling you that if oh you don't you people don't want. I mean, we jokingly call them princesses, but I think they know what they're doing. It's okay, you don't call. Why didn't you call me? I didn't call you. Why didn't you call me? That's the stance that the men are taking now, and I
Yeah.
know it's coming from a place of being defensive and also not having that proper, sensitization of you're the man. If you actually want something, you take the lead and be in charge. Because over the years, there have been things have happened. They have seen things happen that they feel like, okay, the men before us could have done like this because to them, some of these women don't deserve it.
Of course. And the people who are exploiting it very
Yes,
actively.
some of these women don't deserve it. So my question, when I started talking to this person, and then he would do certain things, and then when I now want to like something will ring in my head like, wait, Maggie, are you trying to have a social media relationship? In short, at the point, I just like pulled back from everything
Yeah.
because genuinely speaking, I was. It was during this time that I realized how much power that social media has, the information you consume.
Of course.
Like
It
it
sits in
was
your
it
subconscious, even when
sits
you don't
in your
realize. Yeah.
subconscious. Like I was like, no, normal me, I wouldn't even. First of all, I wouldn't even indulge something like this for me to even respond like this. We are not even going to get there. Unless that I'm not even going to indulge the game, let alone play it.
Yeah.
You see, so we are being socialized now to prepare for a battlefield to go in, and then we are saying marriage are no longer lasting, relationship are no longer lasting. Where do we draw the line?
Oh, yeah. And I think it's important to just say here that also one huge reason why is that we're all just increasingly not tolerant anymore. And it's a lot of it is birthed from the excess of the self-love movement. So self-love is very important, but like
It
everything else
is,
in
and it's
life,
a good
there's a need for
thing.
balance. Exactly, but it's just that because we did too much of it, we've come to a point where the moment something doesn't gratify us, doesn't reinforce our own, ego and pride, we're out the door. So we're unable to even take feedback that isn't positive. When we do something that is wrong, we don't take accountability. Once things are a bit tough, So, and this I'm talking in the better case scenario, not in the ones where the marriage is really messy and
Yeah.
somebody is listening to the words of Satan and being, so some people are terrible, both men
Yeah.
and women. Some people are just extreme. But just
Yes.
in a general sense, even when it's not that bad,
They
there's just
exaggerate
too many
it.
people who, after a while, realize that, okay, I need to move. And I think that it's also rooted on the fact that it's just in human nature, we always want new adventures. We want to try
Yes.
something new.
We'll try
So the
something
problem is that
new.
all these energies get towards getting married. When you finally get married, I'm like,
Is this it?
eh,
Is this it?
the end, don't that, what's
Yeah.
next?
What's
So
next?
they're like, that's what people are saying, "Ugh, it's suffocating me, it's too much.
Yeah,
I want to be
I said
free."
I wrote an article a few years back that said marriage does not automatically come with self-respect and principles. If you lack self-respect and principles as a single person,
Of course.
you're not going to automatically have it immediately you sign papers. It's not gonna come. People say, okay, you get married, it makes you responsible. You decide to become responsible. I'm a single person and I'm very responsible. I've been around married people that I was like, oh hell no, I
Yeah,
am
please
I'm a
go ahead.
very responsible person because what? But let's move on. Another opinion that I saw that really, it brought tears to my eyes because that really hit home. And I've seen situations like that up front, was an opinion that said, I hope we are all paying attention to Baba's action. It's not that in a few years from now, one of his children will refuse to associate with him. and you people will then say it is Annie that turned their heart against him. When it comes to children's issue, it's very sensitive
Woo.
because I feel when adults are acting and behaving, they act in a very selfish capacity.
Yep. Yep.
They
Yep.
act as
Yep.
if
Yep.
children ask to be born. And children never ask to be born. You decided to get with this person, to have sex with this person, to conceive and bring an entirely different human being into the world.
Yeah.
So I feel once you take that step, everything you do from there should come first. You should consider how that affects them. Your feelings don't matter at that point. Your happiness, yes, you should be happy, but you've made a decision that means that is going to affect an entire life in the nearest future.
Absolutely.
That circled back to another opinion somebody had. He said the reason Anne stayed all those years was because of the children, which I don't entirely agree with.
I have no idea, so
have
I
no
will not
idea.
even be able to.
Exactly. But let's talk about this opinion of the children turning against either of the parents in the future when things like
Of course,
this
I
happen.
think that even if they didn't blatantly turn against either or both of them, it's a terrible experience as a child to have to watch your parents split, which also is the beginning of a lot of trauma that a lot of kids
Adults
experience
are
and they
facing.
become adults. And a lot of the problems we're experiencing in marriages first is because there's too many people who are coming from backgrounds where there was too much trauma.
Exactly. So
That's why, like,
childhood
people,
trauma, all
people get
that
in their feelings
comes
when they
into
say that
play.
people from broken homes always end up with having broken homes of their own, and I understand why.
It's a vicious
But it's a
circle.
fact.
Yeah, it's a vicious
So
circle.
but imagine that one and how bad it is when things happen behind closed doors. And now imagine amplifying that with the fact that the child has to live through this with the entire public experiencing it and coming back to mock them. Like,
Yeah.
at the
Like
very
the
least,
humiliation,
yes.
the step-by-step humiliation.
I say it sometimes, I'm like, I don't know about you guys, but when I was in school, like, at least just talking about school, secondary school, primary school, kids used to insult. They would drag your mother, your father with things that did not happen, like, to pain you. I
Absolutely.
talk about when you not actually do my mother and father's gist. For real.
Online. Online. You know, I
You
told
can't
that
even
brought
catch
tears
a
to my
break.
eyes. No.
So I think that for me, the one opinion that I do have about the whole Two-Face Annie thing is that as much as possible, I think it should have been a lot more private.
Discreet.
Yes, I respect the division. Like,
Respectful of.
whatever happened, I don't know. Was it the kids? Was she on drugs? Did the drug confess because of his action? I don't
It's not,
know.
but it's just
You get, like,
consider
and
your
because
children.
in the end we're all adults, everybody will make choices, and you
That
will live
suits
with the
them.
repercussions of them. So
Absolutely.
if it works out good for you, all the best.
Fantastic.
If not, take your L, brush up, and do better. Those are like, it's life.
So this their issue is like an umbrella touching a whole lot of families because there are several other couple families that are probably going through the same things.
Yeah.
And the only difference is they are not popular, they are not celebrities, so we are not seeing these things. And there's probably a teenager somewhere, look at what my parents are also going through, and and that child probably has nobody to talk to.
And all I can just
Where do
beg
they go
is,
from here?
if I can, if it's possible, if you're a family member to any of them, don't make that video you're trying to make. We're tired. So from Annie's brother that made the one where he complained that time, to the one that's supposedly supposed to be Two-Face's mom, they said she made a video recently.
Yes,
It's okay.
That the lady
It's
should
okay.
take.
It's okay, you guys. Just do family meeting and figure it out. Like, I'm tired. So, like, right now, it's the same thing across the internet. There's this epidemic. Everybody wants to just come and
Pick up their phone.
yeah, like, I'm
and
tired.
show the world what they're
So
not
whether
asking
it's
for.
Very Dark Man, VDM,
TMI,
Edu,
too much
Two-Face,
information.
the person
There's
is it's okay. It's okay.
when,
I can do without it.
Another opinion that really blew my mind was Auntie Muraya of TVC. That said, Uncle Tubaba will not go scot-free. I'm like,
That what happened?
like, what is this? Is it you?
So, like, these things are terrible. There are a lot of things, but what they are above all else is none of our business.
It's not about business.
And
but someone will say because these people are celebrities and because Uncle Tuba, with all due respect, he did not, like you pointed out earlier, manage the situation, private. He didn't manage it properly. There are so many ways that he could have managed it, and he chose. Only God knows what he has had. The extent which I had it with, and he decided, you know what, I'm going to put this out there so that it will just be. He's behaving like a man that just wants to be free. You understand? He just wants to cut loose, like let's get done and dusted.
I think that there's that.
Yeah.
But having been in a place too where I've dealt with like immense emotional struggles, both in terms of like relationships or life and a nice union of all that trouble at the same time, I think sometimes the kind of trauma response, right? We have these
Yeah.
meltdowns where you're having what we would refer to as midlife crisis. It might not be tied to a time in
That's
your
what some
life.
people are saying
Yeah,
it
but it might not be
is.
tied to a time, but
Like
just
Christ.
sometimes things really line up that way. And
Yeah.
it happens. The Simpsons had his version of it when he was much older. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that all we owe to ourselves is to keep trying. It's not. I'm not trying to make it light, make it sound like it's easy. It's okay. You guys split. You spoke about that's okay, but we don't have to make a whole carnival out of this. It doesn't have to be a
Exactly.
whole show. We don't need the
Exactly.
updates. Like just sort it out. Do what needs to be done.
Do what
If
needs
everybody
to be
wants to find love
done.
somewhere else, that's also great. Like life is very
Yeah.
complex like that.
Respect the people involved. I
And
was talking about timing and empathy. I don't see it play out
on
at all.
unpopular opinion, right? I strongly do not support the idea of divorce on its own. I think that marriage is designed for you to try and stick it out. But I'm aware that there are realities and situations in which it becomes impossible to stay in a marriage. Then you can seek for divorce. But one thing that I will always hammer above all else is that I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. But essentially, I just lost my train of thoughts. But I think I'll circle back to this.
I think I get what you're trying to say because when it comes to handling issues like that, especially in marriage, it's supposed to be an institution that is very, sacred.
Yes.
I always use my parents' marriage as an example. Over the years, my parents have done things that I felt like my dad was in a better position to have handled it better as the head of the family. And in short, there was a time something happened between them, and he moved almost the way two Papa moved,
Yeah.
like this, and he was calling anybody that cares to me. So, you know what? I'm not going to marry again. It's like they went to the entire community. I am not even joking.
Okay, so just for sake of this thing, we're cutting this part and replacing. So I'll start again. I remember my shoulder. So I said, unpopular opinion, I don't support divorce, but I said there's context in which that can be the reality. But what I wanted to say that nobody remembers to keep in mind is that unlike dating, you never really get to practice with marriage.
Yeah.
So there's the fact that at some point when we've dated a couple of times, we learn, we make mistakes, we figure it out and all that. So we start as if you have sense, and you are teachable, you become a better partner as you go along.
Yeah.
So it is possible to genuinely make a huge mistake in marriage, which shouldn't be that you should merely run away, but it's possible that you can learn from that and do better the next time around. So I'm okay with that. Like we're humans, we're not perfect. So I'm saying the unpopular opinion is that because you have not practiced this marriage thing before, it's okay to get it wrong and try and figure it out again. But
you're not using people's emotions to do testing.
I'm not. That's why I said
Testing
in the instances where divorce is warranted, on a base level, I don't support it. You should stick it out and figure it out. But there's context in which it can happen, and I'm saying in those contexts, we should now apply small grace and remember that these people have not been here before.
Yeah.
So then that's
where the issue of timing and empathy
yes
comes into place.
So
you have to be kind to the
because
person.
no matter how we twist it, and this is a fact, and I say it's even as a Christian, right? Knowing that my faith doesn't support it, just looking factually, humans are flawed, and just by that very
Nobody is
nature,
perfect.
there will be issues. Part of the things that causes a lot of divorces in marriage, that I think away from the more obvious things, is the simple fact that sometimes people don't even know themselves. People lie to themselves.
Yeah.
And because they've not been in certain situations, they don't know what they will do when they're
How
in
they
that
will
situation.
react,
Yeah,
how
so
they
they're like,
will
oh,
respond.
when I get married, I'll do this, I'll never do this, I'll never wait till you get there.
So sorry for butting in. So for people who are older, like we're using our legend's case as an umbrella in an
Yeah.
example, and he's had several relationships. He's had kids with different women. This man has lived. He has learned. He has seen his interaction with different women at some point or the other, and somehow all these women except Annie didn't stay. I'm driving somewhere.
Yeah.
All this, in short, there was an interview that Sumba, one of his baby mamas, granted years ago, and she said one day she was living with him, that she just woke up and realized that he is who he is, and he is detached from his emotions, from his feelings. So he does what he wants to do. That was the day she realized that he's like trying to force a horse, to the stream to drink, and she packed her things and left.
Yeah.
Now, it now brings me down to another opinion that somebody said. The person wrote an elaborate open letter to Honorable Natasha, that the same king that they used to flog Auntie Pero, Auntie Subo, Auntie Annie, and I've forgotten the auntie's name, that it is waiting for her. And in fact, the fact that she's not doing so well for herself, a young lady, she's a local government, I mean, a representative in her state and everything, that going for Baba, to Baba is actually a step down. That instead she's reiterating the popular saying in Africa that men are the prize, because she, this opinion was wild to me, because if you see the reactions, it's a very controversial one. I think I understand where, okay, her name is against where she was coming from, but at the same time, I feel, do people actually learn through this process and change?
Oh, oh my God.
Is there an iota of hope that when a man or woman who have been through these several relationships and several marriages and children will get to a point where be like, okay, you know what, I'm going to take all these experiences, all these mistakes, and change for this woman? Or where does it happen? Where does the breakup? Where
Just
does
for
the healing
clarity,
happen?
I'm speaking to the very minute percentage of people that actually learn. Most people don't. So when I was saying what I was saying, I'm sure a lot of people are going to get their feelings about it.
Yeah.
But part of the reasons why we have the problems we have is because people really and truly don't learn.
True.
They go through, and we're in a world where everything reinforces our bad behavior. There's not a word for everything. So if you do, there's some nice word that we can say it's affecting my mental health. It's it's giving one thing. So
I'm getting down.
yeah,
I'm down.
and it's easy, and because I'm more and more, once we're more independent, we have a way of just like going through stuff, saying, oh, once it's bad, and it doesn't even help that we're in a society where I'm about to start. This what I'm about to say can be a whole other podcast on its own.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we're definitely going to
it's
do this
the
again.
availability
We've said a lot.
of options. Like this, I want to use the example of like dating apps, for example.
Just social media on its own
is
a whole bunch of Instagram is a freaking dating app.
It's unnatural that you have so many connections
at
your finger. So before, do you know how long you have to go downstairs, get dressed, go outside, and before you find one person? So by the time you mess that up, you have enough room to think about what you did.
Yeah.
But now you can just block people, swipe, find somebody else, start again, and just pretend that didn't happen. So when you get to the same point again, you don't do the work. So the point is, people go through these things. That's why there are people who have literally married 4 times. And I'm sure that by that 4th time, you think they'll say to themselves that I should be the problem. Some will now wait as a badge and be like,
really do that.
They don't.
Did that. Somebody like Uncle Legend should have been somewhere.
So people don't, and even the ones that kind of realize, I'm like, even though still, they should take me as I am.
That one is the witchcraft pro max. Take you as what? Who are you?
And I think that the ultimate lesson now comes down to all of us to say, you have to be able to determine when the person is just unwilling to change and something isn't right for you and move on. The problem now becomes, how do you then balance that and say, hope you're not quitting too soon in marriage, and where do you set it to say, okay, this is now too much, and then you can say, okay, this is like, I'm not doing this. So even if it's not in marriage,
take a break during the period,
or
to find
vet better before. So you vet better before you marry. Even though I'll be the first person to also say that, look, there's certain parts to people that no matter how long you date them, you will never see after you marry.
People do a very good job of masking,
But you also have to keep evaluating these things as you go along. I think that usually the challenge is when people are not repentant. So people can make mistakes, people can be terrible, but there are people who are kind of willing to learn. Even if they don't change the whole way, they change just enough that you can meet them halfway. And then you guys kind of figure it out. But once it's messy, once you don't care, once it's too many things, there's money, it becomes a different pot of soup.
Speaking of a different pot of soup, we hope Auntie Honorable's pot of soup is different.
Well, I don't know her.
We don't know.
I don't know if it's a loop. I don't know, but
we don't know. It could also be rebound. Whatever it is, they're adults and they will handle it. Exactly. The only reason why we know about it is because they brought it to our mobile phones. We were scrolling and then we saw gist. And then it now reminded us that so many people are actually living this reality, refusing to accept who they are, do the internal work, actually, see things for what they are, and then at the end of the day they are crying, they just go on a roller coaster of hurting people's emotions and destroying people that are around them emotionally. They may not even know they're doing it, but their actions are spiraling into one big whole mess of what we're seeing now. Adults being like, oh no, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to deal with it.
My final and deepest thoughts on this whole issue is, I hope everybody figures it out and it's better in the end. Like, what I mean is, this is my genuine wish for everybody. So whether Annie is struggling, whether she's in rehab, whether it's something I picked up, I hope she gets better as a person. Like I told somebody one time, I said that we're all God's children. I've been at a point where someone has hurt me before and we got separated, and I just realized that the same way I'm praying and saying God should fix me, and I cannot pray against that person because that person does as they're God's child just as much. So I
Yeah.
hope that in the grand scheme of things, we live, we learn, and we find some semblance of peace. And I hope that the kids also find a way to work it out. So that's just what's important. But the challenge, like I said, dealing with human beings and
Dealing with human
ego always gets in
beings.
the way. But
You're
we'll see.
unpredictable. I think my take is just for the children, and it's because I can totally relate. And for me, I wish if there's any young person, any teenager, any child in situations like this where your parents have decided to, you know, be adults
Yeah.
instead of adults, they are the adult pro max. I think you should move closer to God. That is what pulled me through. You should move closer to God. My relationship with God, and I think I have my mom to thank for that. She took me to church quite young, and I really immersed in the things of God, and I think the Holy Spirit literally raised me to a point, to an extent. There are things that I could not get myself doing. There are things I had to unlearn, relearn.
Yeah.
Even though I was seeing the adults around me moving, for lack of a better word,
Maybe mad, isn't
moving
it?
sideways, I just could not get myself to toe that same path, toe that same line, because somehow there was something subconscious always reminding me that you're better than this. You can't live like this. You can't repeat that pattern. If he has to take you the longest time to get it right, he will. And it's okay. There's just
Yeah.
always that comforting voice at the back of my head. So if you're a child in situations like this is my word for you. The Holy Spirit is the greatest parent anybody can ever have.
Oof. And it's the only way to also
It's the only
have
way.
marriages work.
And one thing, you might be very angry with your parents, forgive them. And I was angry with my parents for a very, very long time. In short, recently I told my mom, see, you know, raise me, oh, calm down. You shipped me up to a boarding school at 9. I went up to university at
Wow.
16.
Wow.
I asked
Wow.
her, do you know the first day I saw my period? She was looking at me. We had a very heartfelt conversation, and I saw that there were so many things that she also did, because she also got married very young, that she didn't know. If she knew better, she would have done better.
Yeah.
She made her mistakes. My dad made their mistakes. So these things will spill out to the children. But like I said, God is the ultimate guide. And we've said so much for today. We can't keep going on and on. But I hope we'll do this again in Cassie.
Absolutely.
This was
Absolutely.
really healing for me. I came to ask questions. I got answers. And I know for sure that somebody, even if it's just one person, must have had an answer. If you have a question there and you don't know anybody to ask, it's okay. You can always ask here. And I promise you, there's going to be somebody here that will give you an answer. And remember, you are not alone. You are never alone. Nkasi.
You're welcome.
Thank you very, very much. Like, you're welcome before I even said thank
You
you.
know, you know.
Thank you. Like I said, this is healing for me. It
Absolute
is.
pleasure.
It
Let's do it
is.
again.
And I hope somebody also gets healing out there somewhere. And until next time, my name is Magdalene, and this is I Have Questions. Thanks for watching. Bye.